Right now at noon, we head out to I-44 to see how drivers are getting by on the busiest travel day of the year.
And we've got ourselves a chilly but relatively nice day across the area. We'll talk about what we're expecting today and eventually how Thanksgiving is looking coming up.
Plus, how not to burn down your kitchen this Thanksgiving.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KOAM News at Noon. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. In today's top story, a pair of Dollar General stores have been robbed on consecutive nights in Newton County. The first store was robbed Sunday night in Racine, Missouri. The second store was robbed on Monday night at Douglas Fir and Mo 43 near Loma Linda. The suspect was wearing a mask when they entered each store right before closing, displayed a handgun, and left with an undisclosed amount of cash. Sheriff Jennings says they are looking at surveillance video that surrounds both stores. There were no injuries in either incident. Authorities charge a Joplin man with multiple child sex crimes. Jason Black has been charged with 2 counts of statutory sodomy, as well as child molestation and attempted sexual exploitation of a minor. The charges stem from the Joplin Police Department investigation into a report of a molestation of an 11-year-old female. Black is currently in the Jasper County Jail with bond set at $100,000. And the Fort Scott City Commission yesterday evening rejected a resignation request from the city manager. They voted that Brad Matkin must stay on in the position. However, they also approved a pay increase for the city manager.
And we've got a relatively chilly day across the 4 states, although it looks great. This is our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. It's been looking pretty good. Just a few high clouds here and there, but otherwise mostly sunny skies. Looking great from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline as well. Unfortunately, it's the temperatures that aren't so great right now. Yesterday started the day at 32, so a bit below normal, but made it up to only 48. So almost 10 degrees below normal, 8 degrees off of where we should be for this time of year. And today's going to be a similar situation to yesterday because it's not really going to warm up much more than where we are right now. And I know it sounds crazy. The sun's shining. You'd think it'd be a little warmer. Nope, not today, unfortunately. Sitting at 43 in Joplin and 43 in Pittsburgh right now. 46 Fort Scott and Iola, Chanute, Parsons, Oswego. 48 in Neodesha and Yates Center. And again, a little further west, could reach a couple of low 50s out there, but for the most of us, look, you head further east, you got 42 Carthage, 43 Stockton, 41 in Monette, so it is not going to warm up much more than where we already are. Now, we do have Thanksgiving tomorrow, and of course, we still have that system that we're watching this weekend, and I'll be honest, I kind of chuckled a bit when I looked at the newest update just before the noon news. Yeah, it's changed again. We'll talk about those changes and our Thanksgiving forecast here in just a few more minutes. And I'm going to tell you, Caitlin, it's a lot of fun keeping an eye on this winter system, or well, this system this weekend. So. Oh,
I bet. And we're keeping an eye on the roads right now because so many Americans are hitting the roads today. And that includes plenty right here in the 4 states. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to travelers along I-444.
I have changed my philosophy. I'm doing the speed limit and getting there and back, but as safe as we can.
Holiday season also means holiday travel. 49 million Americans are driving more than 50 miles, according to AAA.
I'm from Illinois originally. My mom still lives up there, so I go up and see her at Thanksgiving.
I'm just traveling with my family up to Branson.
Travelers at the Welcome Center on I-44 say their journey has been smooth so far.
Roads are clear. I mean, a little bit of drizzle, but that's about it.
We did this trip last year during a bad winter storm, and it's a whole lot less stressful than it was last year.
There seems to be a lot of construction for this during a holiday week. I was kind of surprised.
According to the Associated Press, 55 million Americans are driving this holiday season. But so far at the travel center in Missouri, they're saying that gas prices have been on the lower end.
Compared to what they were a year ago, and the fact there's a war in the Middle East, that surprises me that gas is low.
Gas has come down a little bit. Travel's been pretty nice so far.
One element of being stress-free while traveling, keeping the kids occupied. How they hanging up? Are they watching stuff? Or?
Yes, ma'am. We got the iPad set up, and they're watching movies, and Mom's reading a book, so.
She's been asleep the whole time so far.
Although many travelers are focused on their destination, For others, the journey is the tradition.
We stop here almost every time we get our picture taken with that wall.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
And average gas prices in Oklahoma now sit at $2.85, while Arkansas sits slightly higher at $2.88. The average price for a gallon of gas in Missouri is $2.90, while Kansas has the highest average in the 4 states at $2.99. And that's a look at today's top stories and weather in the 4 states region. Up next on KOAM News at Noon. In the wake of ongoing global events and an ever-present need for heightened vigilance, extensive security measures have been put in place to guarantee a joyous and secure celebration for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And later, we're making classic pan gravy in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Stay tuned. As the iconic Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade prepares to roll through the bustling streets of New York City, the city's authorities are leaving no stone unturned in ensuring the safety and security of both participants and spectators.
As performers rehearse for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, the NYPD is preparing to protect it.
Our heavy weapons teams, our blocker trucks, officers deployed throughout the route.
Rebecca Weiner is Deputy Commissioner of NYPD Intelligence and Counterterrorism. The department is stepping up security for this year's parade, in part due to an assessment from the New York State Intelligence Center obtained by CBS News, which points to an increasing terrorist threat to New York State since the war in Gaza began.
What are you seeing and how are you monitoring all of it?
Extremist and terrorist organizations across the spectrum making statements, generalized calls to action, online rhetoric, real vitriolic rhetoric, some bias incidents, hate crimes.
The state has recorded a 400% increase in threats against Jews, Muslims, and Arabs since October 7th. Tuesday, Governor Hochul detailed a new plan to prevent hate speech online, which includes earmarking $3 million for college campuses to have threat assessment and management teams on site.
They have a simple goal: to find out what's driving hateful behavior and intervene early before harm is done.
The state assessment also warns terrorist messaging has placed focus on attacking soft targets, such as protests and group gatherings. This, of course, comes days after Mayor Adams cut 5% of the NYPD's budget, and Tuesday said the department could face another round of cuts in January.
You have the parade you're preparing for, you have heightened tensions and online rhetoric, you have protests popping up every other day throughout the city, and then on top of all that are budget cuts that the NYPD is dealing with. Is the department stretched too thin right now?
We will not compromise on public safety. Absolutely not in this environment, not when there's so much going on. So we want to reassure everyone that we are there to protect your safety day in, day out, and we will continue to do so.
And millions of Americans will be in the kitchen on Thanksgiving preparing a family feast. But safety experts say it's important to remember there is a major risk of fire this time of year. Skylar Henry has tips on how to stay safe.
It's become popular to deep fry the holiday turkey. But this demonstration shows what can happen if you use too much oil or try to fry a turkey that isn't completely thawed. Where you use the fryer is also a safety factor.
Not to have the fryer in the house, in the garage, outside, away from the house, not on the deck.
Alexander Hohensarik is the chair of the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and says these fires have caused millions in damages over the years. In 2020, a turkey fryer accident in Bedford, Massachusetts set a residential building on fire, leaving 24 people homeless. Accidents on the stove are also common. Every year, there are about 1,600 kitchen fires on Thanksgiving, including grease fires. Fire Captain Dave Folio shows how to put one out.
One of the ways is just come in from the side and smother it. If you don't turn off the heat though and you let it go, it's going to come back. But as soon as you put that over it, auction's off. Make sure you turn off the heat.
Experts say the best way to prevent fires is to keep anything flammable away from the burners and always have an eye on the stove.
Keeping the kids away from the kitchen so they're not running in, knocking something over.
Cooking with some extra caution to help prevent a tragedy this holiday. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Rockville, Maryland.
And the results are in for least favorite side dish. Cranberry took first place, followed by the green bean casserole and sweet potatoes and yams. Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, we see what's cooking with Mr. Food.
If you think gravy is one of the most important parts of Thanksgiving like I do, don't go anywhere.
But first, tomorrow, of course, is Thanksgiving. We'll have a look at that Thanksgiving forecast and that exciting storm system we're watching heading into the big travel weekend when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. This goes back to, if only you knew what happened in between the commercial breaks. We're just discussing the good old days of television. There's a live announcer in the studio to, introduce the news. They did live commercials and things like that. Of course, these days, it's changed just a little bit. For example, when I want to show you something cool, I don't have to draw it out on a chalkboard. I can just pull up some fancy graphics and show you something cool, like this great view from the MODOT camera at 20th and Rangeline in Joplin. Back in the old days of TV, could not do that for you. We have just a few clouds out there, but not many. You can see, again, even a better view from our camera on the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. Just a few high clouds. Otherwise, it is nice and sunny. KDOT camera on 69 at East 520th, just south of Pittsburgh. Plentiful sunshine out there. What we don't have is plentiful warmth to go along with that. Right now, it is 43 in Joplin, and we mentioned a light breeze today, west-southwest at only 8, but when it gets cold, it's enough. Even a light breeze will bring you a bit of a wind chill, feeling like 38. Over in Pittsburgh, sitting at 43, feeling like 39 with a west-southwest breeze at about 6 miles an hour out there. And as we showed you earlier, temperatures around the region, the further west you go, especially along that US 75 corridor in west, and it's like the I-44 corridor separating. You get rain here and snow here. Don't know what it is with 75 corridor, but you go further west, it's a bit warmer. 48, Yates Center, Neodesha, 46, Independence, 49 in Sedan. So a couple of lower 50-degree readings today are possible. The rest of us, though, 46, Chanute, Parsons, Iola, Chatopa, 45, Miami, and the further east you go, the colder it is. 42, Lamar, Carthage, Neosho, Anderson, and 41, Monette and Cassville. So, since the 10 o'clock news last night, there's already been 4 updates to the long-range forecast for this weekend. This morning, before the morning show, had the freezing line just south of I-44, putting some light snow across the area. And I want to reemphasize to people, we're not expecting a snowstorm or anything like that, but just enough that it could make the roads hazardous to drive on, a little slippery. Then, by the time the morning show got underway, that had changed completely. It had barely any wintry precipitation in our area at all. So here's our newest update. Saturday 4:30 originally had showers all the way up to the state line. Now it's backed them up a little bit. However, it's changed the path of the freezing line and the snow. So you see, we start to get a light wintry mix, maybe some light flurries out there. But now, by the time we hit Sunday morning, it's overspreading a slightly larger area of our viewing area, mainly north of the I-44 corridor. In fact, what we were just talking about, if you watch just right through our area, right along I-44, there's that freezing line, that wintry mix line, and snow off to the north of that. So again, we're not anticipating any significant winter weather out of this, but it could be enough if you're traveling home this weekend to make the roads a little hazardous to drive on. So do plan for that. So again, today, for the most of us, upper 40s for our highs, plentiful sunshine, temperatures below average, just a little below average tonight, but still cold, low 30s, south breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. For our Turkey Day, which I don't even need that to show you, we've got this. We're going to start the day sunny, partly cloudy by noon, clouds increasing later in the evening. Highs on Turkey Day, though, close to average as we go into the mid to upper 50s out there, so it'll be pretty nice. And our Black Friday, it's back to chilly again, mid 40s. We go into the weekend, still watching that system for you, but we will be below average until the end of next week. Kicking off next week, by the way, mid 40s, low 50s, and then again, sunshine starts building in, and we do get our temperatures back to normal by about Thursday, Friday of next week as we go back into the mid to upper 50s. But still, like I said, this weekend, I just want folks that don't know, we're not expecting a blizzard. We're not expecting several feet of snow. It's going to be enough of a wintry mix in some locations to make the roads a little slippery to drive on. So you got to just make sure you're paying attention this weekend.
Absolutely. Good heads up. Thank you, Chris. And stick around because we're making classic pan gravy in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. It's time to check in with Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Now, homemade gravy for the holidays is a must, and this easy holiday recipe for classic pan gravy will have you drizzling it all over your turkey and mashed potatoes with pride.
We all know that Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and by now your turkey should be thawing, and hopefully you've got a pretty good jump start on what side dishes and desserts you'll be making. But what about the gravy? If you're not sure where to start on that one, no worries. Once our turkey is cooked, all we have to do is pour our pan drippings into a large measuring cup and skim off the fat that rises to the top. A gravy ladle works great for this. Now, before discarding all that fat, we pour about a half a cup of it in a saucepan and stir in the same amount of flour. This is what's going to thicken up our gravy. Just keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn. While that's simmering, we add some chicken broth to the turkey drippings, just enough so we end up with about 4 cups. All that's left to do is stir in the flour mixture and let it simmer for a bit to thicken up. That's it! The perfect homemade gravy that's ready to drizzle on all your favorites. Everything from turkey and stuffing to, of course, the mashed potatoes. The recipe for classic pan gravy, as well as a whole collection of last-minute Thanksgiving Day recipes, are on our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, wishing you and your family the best Thanksgiving ever. One filled with lots of great food, health, happiness, and of course, ooh, it's so good.
To find this recipe, along with many others, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on Mr. Food. Now here's a look at your 4-state market prices.
All right, once again into the upper 40s today. Back to normal for Thanksgiving, but increasing clouds in the evening. Upper 50s. Cool again Friday. Watching that system Saturday and Sunday for some showers, maybe a light wintry mix, so be aware of that if you're traveling. And a cold start to next week. Mid 40s Monday, low 50s on Tuesday.
All right, and Dow, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, a lot coming up at 5 for starters this Thanksgiving. A family in Ohio is grateful to celebrate their first holidays at home together. We're going to have the story of a premature pair of twins born at the Cleveland Clinic. Plus, volunteers are at the Salvation Army getting ready for tomorrow's Thanksgiving feast. And it's Pet Vet Wednesday. Our pet expert is going to answer your animal questions today. It has to do whether you can give your pet leftover pie and cake from Thanksgiving.
All right.
Or just save it for your friendly neighborhood news anchor.
So there you go.
Find out. That's coming up today at 5.
All right, and that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us on KOAM News at Noon. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving, 4 states.